arena. There's so many things that come up against us as women that would have us to believe that we're not worthy, that we're not deserving. You have to know that is a lie from the pit of hell. And there's nothing you can do with a woman that finds out that she's worthy. You can't put her in a box. You can't put her in a corner. You can't tell her the sky is gray because she knows it's blue. If you say something to her, you're only confirming her worth and her value, because anything else, she doesn't receive it. You have to know your worth. You have to understand your value. You have to understand everything that you bring to a table if you're going to dream a bigger dream and experience that actual dream. We don't want to just be dreamers in this room. We want to be doers in this room. We want to act according to the vision that we have for our lives.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? I am so excited about today's show. I hope you guys got a good glimpse of that clip that we showed, and I have a wonderful guest that's going to be joining me tonight. But you still have time to like, to comment, and we also want you to share tonight's show. I think every woman that you know, your mother, your grandmother, your sister, your auntie, you need to watch this show, because I have a great guest who's going to be sharing a conference that I was so grateful to be a part of, and it was such a great, huge success. But let me just stop talking, because I want to bring on our guest, and tonight we're going to be talking about the best version of you. So help me welcome my dear, dear, dear friend, Shaniqua Cousins, to Real Talk.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. You know, I could have wore yellow too. We could have made this match.
Look, it's summer. I'm free. I'm just out here.
I know, and I'm sitting here with black on, but it's okay. I had to dinner together. So, how you been?
I'm good. I'm doing so good.
Awesome. I want to thank you for joining us tonight on Real Talk. I'm so excited. I love the clip. Can't wait to dive into this conversation, talking about the best version of you. And I can dare say to those that are watching, Shaniqua, you exuberate the best version of yourself, because I know you personally, but it comes out of you. And it's so contagious that when I'm around you, we just want to be more like you. And you know what it's like? It's like a provoking. It provokes you. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just kind of sit back for a second. The best version of you. So before we get started, why don't you share with my guests a little bit about who you are, and we'll go from there.
Overall, well, thank you. First off, thank you. I receive it. I receive it all. I like to tell people, if you want to just summarize, because I have my hands in a lot of pots, but I'm a certified health and life coach and a speaker. And so what I do by day, if you would, is I help people get unstuck in areas of their lives. And one of those ways is a version of that clip that was showing was in the form of hosting live events. And so there are so many areas where we can feel like we're alone and we feel stuck. And I like to say I'm the person that comes along on the journey and help to hold a future version of yourself to help you come along.
I like that. So let's dive in. I have such a question for you. When did you realize that you were not living up to the best version of yourself?
Several years ago, I would say probably around the time my daughter was about 3-4 years old.
Oh,
and
wow.
This is a time when I was in debt. This was a time when I had just like recently transitioned from being in the military and starting my civilian career. And I was already a published author, but really didn't know what I was out there doing. I felt very detached from the person I knew myself to be. And I got really serious about wanting to get unstuck from the feeling, like literally the feeling of stress and strain and just feeling discontent on the inside. And I made a decision, and it started with one decision, Jean. It started with deciding that I no longer wanted to be in debt. That's like where it started. Like, this is it. I'm no longer living this life. I know that there are other things out there for me. And I did it one step at a time, literally by just getting myself on a budget and taking all of the debt letters and collections and all of that stuff and facing it head on and deciding this is where I'm at. And I kept a vision of where I wanted to be, and I took one step after the other.
That's awesome. So what I hear you saying is, like,
I love it.
this is what we do, you know? So
Yeah.
what I hear you saying is, all seriousness, mindset. And
Oh,
as
yeah.
you were talking, I kept seeing the word mindset. You
Yeah.
purpose in your mind that you will no longer have that perspective about yourself. And you know, as a woman now, I'm in my 50s, but even women older and or younger, we do have like this preconceived notion of how we are, how we should be, what we should do. Why do you feel we do that as women instead of just understanding that there's so much more to life? And when you do get, and we'll talk about how you're now on the other side. But
Mhm.
when you really get to the other side, I understand that now it is so liberating.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
absolutely liberating.
Yeah. Well, the reality is we do it. People in general do this. We're programmed. So there's a lot of programming that happens. And typically this is just, and I know this is can be kind of hard for people to understand, but you're typically, or generally speaking, you are who you are between the ages of 0 and 5. And so what was done in the family, what you saw growing up, what you were exposed to, there's a foundation that is typically built for all of us, right? What we have to do is that we have to go through life is like the cycle of programming and deprogramming, programming and deprogramming. So it's a lot of deprogramming, deciding what no longer works for you for this season of your life, deciding what does work for you in this season of your life, and then having a held vision of where you want to go and literally taking steps toward that desired outcome.
Yes. Yeah. I like that. And as you were talking, my mind runs to a gentleman that I know who's a pastor, right? Shaniqua, and he got burnt up in a camper or whatever, you know, it's really
Mm-hmm.
bad. And
Mm-hmm.
to your point, he had a vision of himself. And he was in a nursing home. They said he would not make it. It was like part of the hospice. But Shaniqua, he said every time he looked out that window, he saw himself walking.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how you said that, because if we don't get that vision, the Bible tells us to write the vision and make it plain. But if you don't have that vision, it really does do something for you. Is it possible with women we feel we are not worthy or deserving of a better
Oh,
vision?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If
Right?
your programming on the inside says I'm not enough, I'm
Yeah.
not worthy, I'm not deserving, it doesn't matter how much lipstick, makeup, perfume, hairstyles we put on it, we will not move in the trajectory of that worthiness and that I am enough. If on the inside, if that internal dialogue is that, we will not move in that direction. That's just the simple answer. And so we end up walking around masking, putting
Mhm.
on all the things, trying to look the part, but on the inside just having that internal battle.
Yeah.
Because here's the reality: there's a big difference between feeling guilty about something and feeling shame about something.
Ooh, yeah. Let's
And
talk about that. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of times, not a lot of times, I'll just say guilt is about what you did. Shame is about who you are. So if I am feeling shame of unworthiness or not feeling enough, I act accordingly because that's on the level of identity, right? So if I'm feeling that, I'm going to typically behave, talk, speak, and do all the things that line up.
Mhm. You know, and I'm glad you brought that up, because coming from being a survivor of
Mhm.
my story of being abused for so long, Shaniqua, it really did shape my mindset.
Mhm.
That is so fitting to what you're saying, how your mindset and all of that can be so intertwined into who you think you are.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because it's like I grew up thinking that's who I am, or that's
Yep.
how I'm supposed to respond, or how about this? That's my personality. So
Exactly.
right, Shaniqua, I used to
Yeah.
think I was this mean, like really, angry woman. Lord,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for deliverance.
Yeah. Yes.
Come to realize that I like to laugh like you like to laugh. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know. Oh
We love to laugh and have fun.
my God.
That's it was, and I'm so glad you said that. It has a lot to do with the root.
You know what? I'm so glad you just said when, as you were saying that, you know what I saw,
Mm-hmm.
and I want people to understand. There's a difference between what you did and what happened to you and who you are. Those are very distinct differences. And what was done to you, you took it on as identity until you found a new identity, and then you acted accordingly. So although something can happen to us, something else can happen through us when we find our identity, a true sense of
Yeah,
self-worth, value, and belonging. And so I think people really have to get a clear distinction. What you did, what was done to you, it doesn't necessarily mean it's who you are. So
that's
I'm so glad you said that.
That's powerful. That
Yeah.
that that was powerful. Cheryl, we have Elise on so far tonight, and Cheryl chimed in as you were speaking, Shaniqua, and she
Uh-huh.
said, "Yes, yes." In other words, she's agreeing with exactly the dialogue in which we're having, and I want to dive into the conference because it was amazing. But I just want to go just a little bit further into
Yeah.
the woman that you are, right?
Mhm.
And like I said, because I've been around you, we're great friends. When you said that it's so contagious, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about you have so many great successes in your life? Your story is so amazing, but then other of us are looking into your story. How does that make you feel?
I feel very, very blessed, Jean. I really do. I feel blessed to have so many amazing women around me. And it's different me living it and someone else looking from the outside and spectating and being a friend of mine or a family member. I just love to live my life authentically for whatever season of life that I'm in. And that took work, and that took a knowing. I'm going back to your word, the worthiness. It took a clear understanding of my worth and value. And when we as women understand our worth and value, we will inevitably show up different in our lives. And also, it took a clear understanding of purpose. When you understand you have purpose on your life, and that your life is just not me, my four, and no more. When you understand that you're attached to other people's purposes, and you have there's a responsibility with that. And I really do take it. I take it seriously. I don't take myself seriously, but I take the work that God has called me to do very seriously, because people are always watching. People are always spectating. And I just want to live the truest version of myself. I don't like putting on airs. That's not my thing. I don't like being around people that put on airs. I'm just being very frank and honest because it makes me uncomfortable. And so I feel like when we show up as our true selves, it allows other people's that little critter brain to just relax, and
Yes,
it
yes,
just lets you breathe easier when you're around people who are authentic and true to
yes.
themselves. And so I love it. I couldn't be anyone else for starters. I really couldn't.
And I'm a testament to that, to what those that are watching what Shanique was saying, that when we are together, I feel honestly being authentic, my true self. Like who
Yeah,
I really am. It's like, okay, we were together, we're like cracking up laughing. That's really who I am. You know what I'm saying? So she's
literally.
like, so we want to talk about this amazing conference. Oh my
Mm.
God, Shaniqua, we need to, oh my
Mm.
goodness, let's talk about this conference. Let's talk
Can we just talk about how much fun we had? Like,
about it. Just
I
talk
forgot
about
it was, when you're just having a great time. I forgot it was work for us
yeah.
because we were having such a great time
We did.
across two cities, two back-to-back weekends. I
Mhm.
felt like I've never done like a college tour. I did a college girls trip or something like that, but I felt like I was like on a college reunion, something, because I did all of my schooling while I was in the military. So I never had the full on campus experience, but I just felt so uplifted, and I felt proud, Jean. I really did. I felt proud of the work that we were able to do, coming together as women, bringing together our skills and talents for the betterment of other people, and really transforming lives, really igniting transformation. And I just feel honored and just proud about that.
Wow, wow. Well, you had the vision. We have to start from, let's go to the source, the
Yeah.
root, whichever word there. You had a vision. You knew what God had given you, the step-by-step plan of how he felt it should be done. And
Mhm.
what I love about God, and I said this to you at either Charleston or somewhere, It wasn't in the quantity, it was in the quality.
For sure.
And I remember
For
sitting
sure.
next to you, and Shaniqua, let me tell you something, it did not come up short. And for those that are listening, those that are watching playback, the quality of what we experienced both weekends in a row, you couldn't even. I loved it because I know money. It takes money for everything, right? For most
Oh, yeah.
things. But this is my point. You couldn't even put money on it. That's just how the takeaway from it, at least for me, that's about being a speaker. The takeaway I felt that the women received, you cannot put a price on it. What was your takeaway?
I'm the quality too. The quality of the value that I knew I wanted people, because let's just go from to the business side for a second there. Just hit on the money, like you said. When people exchange money, they're exchanging it for a value added resource, service, program, or whatever, right? And so for me, it's staying true to my authentic self, staying true to my brand. And something that I really take seriously is the value that I'm adding out into this world, the value that I'm adding to clients, the value that I'm adding to customers. And I would rather have a quality product than thinking about the quantity of people coming in and whatnot, and it falls short. So
Right.
quality over quantity, anytime and anything that I do. And so the biggest takeaway for me was the sisterhood and the community that was built across these two cities. And also not just amongst the attendees, but amongst us as coaches. And I knew you all individually, you didn't know each other. And so I knew that you all would connect and there would be something powerful that happened with the coaches, as well as our MCs, as well as our performers, Vicky, and Jessica Reedy. It was Vicky Yogi, Jessica Reedy. I mean, we just had
We did.
a powerful lineup of women that came together for transformation. That's really what happened.
And so, what do you think the takeaway was from the women that attended?
It was ignited. People felt ignited and inspired. People left wanting to have more, do more. People left. My sister tells me often that she left with this this courage
Yes.
and this boldness to step in and do other things. I've gotten letters, I've gotten emails about people just feeling like they were empowered to do something and wanting to stay connected to us as a community. And so it's so wonderful to experience. I'm still getting letters and emails right now, like literally to this day.
Yeah. What I was in awe of, Shanique, was that we were in two different states, and to me, it was impacted in two different ways, which I thought was so powerful. The first, when we were in Maryland, it had one type of impact. I felt like by the time we got to Charleston, it was so beautifully heavy.
Yeah, those are good words right there.
I mean, even now I have chills. I'm not like, it was beautifully heavy from the perspective. I felt like the people were able to really shed some weight.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I felt like I think I cried. I cried the whole time. I
We cried.
cried, cried, we laughed, we did that, but it was beautifully heavy. I felt people felt safe enough to really let some stuff go. That's what
And that's so important.
things that I felt, as being part of it.
Yeah. And I actually felt lighter by the time we got to Charleston as well. Because, so for those of you that aren't familiar, we hosted, the first conference was hosted in Callaway, Maryland. I'm in Southern Maryland. And so this was my first time hosting it in Maryland. And this was the fourth time hosting it in Charleston. And so the genesis of it is really, I was prompted on my heart to, it's important to, when you're from a community, to go back and do good things in that community. That's just really the short answer. And so we brought together attendees, coaches, so many different businesses were connected: makeup artists, videographers, photographers, drivers. We had so many businesses connected. And when you do that, you're also having an economic effect on the community where you're from. And so we were able to do that across two cities. Not only did we do that, though, we made sure that we hooked up with nonprofit organizations that I believe in their mission, and I wanted to make sure that I was able to give them a monetary donation to help support that mission. And that's so important, Jean. The smaller organizations, and I'm a small business myself, so I know what it's like to be a small business owner. And some of these nonprofits out there, they don't have the power to go and cut through a lot of the red tapes to get a lot of the funding. And so the more that we can help the local nonprofits and our organizations that have a mission that we believe in, that have the resources in place, that have the infrastructures in place to receive, I think the better they are.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that stood out for me, again, as conference host that you are and were, is your confidence that you felt. You didn't, to me, it was never a slacking or a lacking of confidence. To me, as I was looking at you, watching you navigate and do what you have to do, how do we as women, or any women that are going to watch, what strategies and tools could you recommend for women to cultivate their confidence?
So while my confidence was never shaken, I did feel doubt leading up to it, right? Because this is new. This is new territory. I had done it before in one city. I had never done it across two cities. I'm bringing together multiple businesses and multiple. I had two different marketing strategies, two different target markets. So I did feel doubt. I'm not going to say I didn't. And you and I know I was like, whew.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Okay. So I won't say that I didn't feel doubt, but I had to, and I still have it on my refrigerator. It says, doubt my doubts, believe my beliefs, right? And so I honed in on that. I got myself into a, physical exercise is very important to me. So I'm working out. I'm listening to every message that lined up with the vision that I had. I'm working out, clearing the clutter out of my mind, clearing the clutter around me, and believing that I was called to do this and that God would see me through it. That's really the simple answer. The reality is that isn't easy, but I had to make a choice. And when we have a clear held vision, we have to make a choice. And when we make the choice, it must line up with that vision. That's the bottom line. And it's not an easy thing, but that is the simple answer. And that's what I did. So my confidence is never rocked because I'm never thinking about me. I'm thinking about who called me to do it. And so for me, I believe, okay, God, you called me to do it. Okay, you're going to make sure all of this works out one way or another. Yeah. And so I don't need to be, I can feel the fear and still do it.
Right.
See, confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is still doing it even while you feel it.
Basically. Right.
Yeah. Right. So, but if you succumb to the feeling of the fear, then you succumb to the vision that you have. That's really the bottom line.
Yeah. One of the things that I love so much about Shaniqua, and we're so like-minded in it from this perspective, is that what we do with and for women is never about us. And that's one thing you, Georgette, that I feel we all have in common. We realize what we're doing is never about us. What we get out of it is the fulfillment of somebody's life being transformed. And that is so important. But this is what we're going to do. I want to continue to have this conversation with Shaniqua because we're going to go a little deeper and talk about what it's like to balance and find fulfillment and navigate through all of this. But we'll be right back on Real Talk with Jean Price, the best version of you. All right. Well, while they're getting together the commercial, I'm going to keep talking to Shaniqua.
All right.
It seems like we might be having a little technical difficulty, but it's okay because we navigate through technical difficulty. So Shaniqua, let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
How do you help women navigate work, life, and balance it all? You said it yourself.
Yeah.
You are, you're a mom. You do all kinds of things. I want you to think about that. We're going to go to this commercial break, but I want you to kind of come back and help us understand, how does Shaniqua Cousins balance it all? We'll be right back.
All right. You're in the right arena. There's so many things that come up against us as women that would have us to believe that we're not worthy, that we're not deserving. You have to know that is a lie from the pit of hell. And there's nothing you can do with a woman that finds out that she's worthy. You can't put her in a box. You can't put her in a corner. You can't tell her the sky is gray because she knows it's blue. If you say something to her, you're only confirming her worth and her value, because anything else, she doesn't receive it. You have to know your worth. You have to understand your value. You have to understand everything that you bring to a table if you're going to dream a bigger dream and experience that actual dream. We don't want to just be dreamers in this room. We want to be doers in this room. We want to act according to the vision that we have for our lives.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Jean Price. We are having a beautiful conversation with one of my dear, dear, dear best friends, Shaniqua Cousins, and we're talking about the best version of you. And what you saw in the clip was from a conference that the Lord dropped in her heart, and she strategically and authentically put it together. But let Shaniqua tell you all about it. Welcome back, Shaniqua, to Real Talk. I tell you, Shaniqua, every time I see that video, I am like, oh my goodness. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing.
And I crack up because Tammy was the production
She
director.
was.
She was like the production director. Slow it down, move it. It was so funny. It was good. We had such an awesome time. Both cities. Such an awesome time.
We really did. Before we went to commercial break, I asked you a strategic question because women are listening and watching. How do you balance it all? How does another woman balance life, family, children, sometimes sickness?
Yeah.
How do you balance it all?
Priorities. I'm very clear on my priorities, and I got very clear on the season of life that I'm in. And so I'll go back to my daughter for a second. When she was younger, she just graduated from high school. She's going to be starting college in the fall. So the season of life that I'm in right now isn't the season I was in when she was 1 and 2 and 3 and needed me more. However, she's still a priority. I'm still a priority in my life. I got very crystal clear early on, and I thought that I had to put her before me. I had to put her father before me. I had to put everything else before me. And that didn't last very long, Jean.
Right.
And so I got very clear that me being a priority, my relationship with God being a priority were first in my life. And when that is solid, and that's a solid foundation, everything else follows suit. And so also the seasons of life. And I keep saying that, but we all can look in on other people's lives and sometimes want where they are, but not understanding the season of life that they're in.
Yeah.
And so we can doing that is like, it's that point of comparison. Oh, I wish I could do this, or her husband is this, or her kids are that. Not understanding the full story. So understand the season of life that you're in. And if you don't understand, if you're not very clear on where you are, that's where support comes in. That's where people like us, the coaches, we can help with that, getting you crystal clear and getting clarity on where you are and where you would like to go. And then speaking of going, having a vision of where you would like to be. I think it was Jim Rohn who said that, like, you're not a tree. You can uproot and leave. You can go, you can do, you know what I'm saying? Like, what a decision that we make now doesn't have to be a lifetime decision. Like, if I bought this house, it doesn't mean you have to stay here for the rest of your life. It's for this particular season, or it may be for a lifetime, but just getting clear on where you are and where you would like to be.
Wow, that was really powerful. And even as you were talking, I want to go back for a second. You were talking about how you prioritize yourself, then Christ, then of course Jada. And my mind went to when you're on a plane, right? When they tell you to put your mask on first and then help somebody else, so you have to take care of yourself. And I like that, Shaniqua, because a lot of times we really don't put ourselves first. And I'm not speaking from the being like, oh, it's all about me. I'm really talking about you really are the best version of yourself when you do put yourself first with Christ. And I found that I was totally burnt out, running from pillar to post. Your wife, I have 3 kids, and you're right. I could not even. I feel like I lost my identity.
You do, because you disconnected from your source. Technically, you get saying? You
Absolutely.
were you were doing we all do it. We go through that phase where we're doing the admirable thing. Oh my
Yes,
gosh, her
yes,
kids look great, and the husband
right.
looks good, the house is clean, and all of that. And then you feel is that you know what it is, Jean? It's
Yes.
that weight that you can only feel at night by yourself. Or
Mm,
if you're, even if it's not at night, it's that weight, that internal battle, that internal conversation that
mm,
you have because you know that you're not living fully,
yeah.
truly yourself. So here's what happens. In doing that, we shortchange our experience for the people around us because they're not really getting a full, authentic version of yourself. They're getting that 80%, that 70%. They're not getting that full capacity. You see, so let's
Right.
not shortchange the people around us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so real. And as you were talking, I thought about how somebody asked the question. I hope I got it correct. I might not have it. Tell me who you are, right? And
Yes.
sometimes the first answer is, well, I'm a
Yep.
wife, I'm a
Yep.
mother, I'm a sister.
Mhm.
No,
That's a title.
there you go. That's my point.
That's
Not
a relationship.
yes. No,
Hmm.
I want to know about Gene. And we
Hmm.
put those other things in the forefront. And I think having this kind of conversation, having that dialogue with a bunch of women in a room, I think there is so much growth and impact that comes out of that. Because maybe a woman wants to say to you, Shaniqua, or myself, I don't want to be a mother today. Today, I mean, come on, today, I
Yeah.
want me. How about me? I want to
Yeah.
know who I am. So what you're saying is so true. And I thought about that when you were talking, like sometimes that's the first answer, right? That rolls off. Because some
Yeah. It's
in
a
new
comfort level too. It's a comfort level in the
yes,
programming
yes.
because at somewhere we got a message that our what we remember we said it earlier. What
Mhm.
I do is not necessarily who I am. Now, I am a mother, but it's not all of who I am. It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be this or that. It could be this and that.
Yeah.
And we hide behind the titles of what we do as a safeguard. That's really a safety mechanism. It keeps me
Good.
feeling safe. I remember when Jada was when she was little, when she was at dance, and all of the dance moms, and now look, I'm putting a title on them. Like I wouldn't at the dance. I didn't put these people in a corner, all the dance moms.
Yes.
But nonetheless, I just did not fit that mold. I just didn't. And
Yeah.
Jada was in dance for years, and so it wasn't until she was about to leave this particular dance group that one of the moms, because I just didn't have a point of reference for the conversations, and it was a couple of different things. I would come in, I would be reading my little book or whatever, and when it was time for her to, we were leaving or something, and one of the moms said, "Oh, you never spoke to us, or you never engaged, or whatever it was." She said, "We thought you were." She thought I was a Bible school teacher or something. It was like
Really?
it was like this lady, leave the little Bible school lady alone. But it
Right.
really was being true to myself and not forcing myself to be engaged in conversations that I didn't want to be in, and just really minding my business, if you would. But I just say all that to say it's okay not to go along to get along. It's okay to
Mm,
feel like you don't fit a mold. It's okay to have a clear sense of identity, and
yeah.
it's okay to be true to who you are. That's really the point of that story.
My mind is spinning right now because I'm thinking about what you just said was so good about how we force ourselves to, like
Mhm.
you said, try to fit what they think is normal, fit this instead of embracing the true authenticity of yourself. You
Yeah,
had to sit there and read your book. You didn't
yeah,
feel like you had to squeeze in. And I think, and you can chime in, of course. I think sometimes that comes from low self-esteem, like just or not knowing who you really are. Because it's okay to sit back and just read your book. So
yeah.
let yeah. So I want to go a little deeper than that. I have another question for
Okay,
you. I want to talk about strength. You
okay.
know, oftentimes I hear my daughters say, "Mommy, you're so strong. You're so strong." And I used to question that from a
Mm,
negative perspective because I think life presented itself where I had to always rise to the occasion. So
mm,
I didn't see it as mommy, you're so strong. I felt like it was mommy has to do what she has to do to survive.
mm.
How do we help women embrace? Because then I realized through God, it is a strength. It's an inherent strength. But how do we help people embrace that strength? You know what I mean? Not for survival, but God did make some of us with that inner strength.
Yeah,
So, does that make sense?
I believe he made us all strength with strength,
Yeah,
right? Some of our strengths and some of our strengths are more magnified, if you would.
that's good.
But I believe that you have to come to the truth of the fact of the matter is you do have strength. Now how you utilize it and how it's magnified or amplified might be different for all of us, but it's great to have strength. It's great to have physical strength. It's great to have mental strength. It's great to know that you know that you're confident on the inside, just from a physical standpoint or a mental standpoint. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's I like to tell Jada, don't deny who you are in
Yeah,
any way.
yeah,
Don't deny who you are. If you have strength, embrace it, because there's a reason for it. There's a calling on you, and the fact of the matter is, people are drawn to strength. They're drawn to it. And when you think about what you have been called to do and you're connected to other people, it's a magnet. It pulls people toward you, and you want to make sure that you're using it properly, that
yeah.
you're being a good steward over it, because you don't want to have strength and then use it, outside of its what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want to be irresponsible with your strength.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
How would you define success for women?
it's doing the thing that you said you would do.
Okay.
It's doing the thing. It's getting the results that you said that you would get. And so, what is it that you're after? What is it that you believe you should be doing? What are the steps that you've taken? And with each set of steps, there should be some corresponding result. And so, seeing it all the way through. And I go back to that vision, because if we don't have a vision of ourselves doing the thing that we should be doing, want to do, could do, we will have a vision of someone else doing something
Right.
and falling short, and thinking and feeling like we're falling short. But that's their vision. That's not your vision. So you got to get very clear on what you want to be doing, what you should be doing. And whatever that is, there will be corresponding action that needs to happen. And when you're taking that action, you should be getting results.
Yeah,
So it's making sure that you're doing the thing that you said you would be doing.
yeah. And I agree with you, Shaniqua, because I think that's what helped me when I realized that God really did call me to help women. For me, that's what I defined as successful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one season of my life, and somewhere maybe it still is there, but money and being able to buy whatever you want, I found out that that is not success.
Got you.
You need money, don't get me wrong, to survive, to live. I get that. But my mindset changed because I don't find that success. Success for me is knowing that God is using me to help someone else. Because
Got,
at the end of the day, you can only wear one pair of shoes at a time. You can only most of the time use one purse at a time. I just don't deem that as success. Oh, I can do this. I have this. I have that. Shaniqua, it is not success for me. And
got you.
I'll use your word. Maybe it's the season that I'm in.
Got it.
It's just not success for me. Success for me is being able to be a blessing to someone like you or someone else, or being able to mentor. I'm mentoring girls all the way from another island in Antigua. They contact me. I'm literally mentoring them. That is success to me. So,
Yeah.
in what I'm saying, the question I have for you now is, what is your legacy? What do you want to have left behind when it's your time?
For me, it's that I really lived on purpose through purpose.
I love.
And that comes in various forms. It comes in mothering, it comes in loving, it comes in being a friend, it comes through being a daughter. I'm living this life on purpose through purpose without any regrets either, Jean.
Yes, yes.
I look back, and the thought and the weightiness of regrets, it it makes us hide away from life, if you would. And so understanding that if you knew better, in some cases you would do better, or I just made a bad choice, or I'm still making the bad choice, but owning it and taking full responsibility for living life on purpose through purpose is definitely what I believe my legacy will be.
Yeah.
And I just want to go back to the money thing for 1 second, because I don't want anyone who might have a different season of their life. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want people to feel bad about having money.
Of
Um,
course. Of course.
because it's needed to do a lot of the things that we do. However, like what you're saying, if it has you, then we have a problem.
That's
We
it.
really, we really have a problem. And so, because that goes back to that original thing, that identification with, what are you identifying as? If you're identifying as, oh, I got to have this and I got to have this to
That,
be for my beingness, then that's a problem.
right.
That's a real problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who you are on the inside, that conversation and how you feel, not that facade that we put on, how you're feeling.
Yeah.
It really will manifest itself. Bottom line, it manifests itself, and it manifests itself in so many ways. But having a clear understanding about who you are and what you have been called to do is so important.
Yeah. And I appreciate you clarifying that, because that's exactly what my thought
Yeah.
process and what I was saying. It's not that, it's just, I don't know. All I can say is I've always had, is what I'm, and
Yeah. I totally get it. And
it's just
for me,
life is different.
it's like I didn't have money growing up, right? We didn't have money. It wasn't a thing where we had it. And so I knew I had to get to work. I had to do the things, right? And so now being, when you go back to that successful part of it, the money side of it is one part of it for me, that I do feel like I have checked off certain boxes, and I did the thing that I said I would do. I made the thing that I said I would make and got the money for it. However, there's a sense of appreciation and stewardship that comes with having money, and knowing that it is a vehicle that can help us navigate this natural world. But it isn't your end all be all. There's a lot of other things that come with it. And so it's an important vehicle.
Yes, it is.
I'm just being honest, it's an important vehicle.
Yes.
But it isn't the end all be. I like to tell Jada, it isn't everything, but it's up there now with like water. And
it's a necessity to a degree.
It's up there. So, but I just didn't want anyone to think.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. That's all I'm saying, friend.
Yeah. No. I listen. I love when it's clarified again. And like I said, and I used the word the whole time, it's just a different season of my life.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what it is. And just being able to be a blessing to other women is just the fulfillment of purpose.
So
And
good.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we have enjoyed our time. Listen, I'm going to have Shaniqua for the last 30 seconds that we have. Shaniqua, final words, final thoughts.
Final words are get clear on where you are, have an understanding of where you would like to be, and then make a decision on the path that's needed to get you there. And then I wanted to make sure I shared the magazine with everyone from the conference. So this is a takeaway. We have so many valuable nuggets and all our conference storylines and the speakers, and there's actual working pages in here, workbook pages and things like that. So this was the launch of my first magazine, and it's tied to the conference, and it's still available out on the website. So I want people, if they're interested, if you're looking to cultivate self-love and learn more about the conference, learn more about the coaches, it's available out on the website, and we're gearing up for 2024. So I'm very excited.
And that's what I was going to say too. I was going to say, listen, for those of you do not want to miss it, you can contact me. We can contact Shaniqua. You don't want to miss this conference in 2024. It is going to be absolutely absolutely amazing. I want to thank my guests for joining us tonight, Elise and Cheryl and Rita and Catherine, just everyone that's going to watch it on the playback. Thank you so much for always joining me on Real Talk. I'm going to leave these words with you tonight. It's something that God literally dropped on my heart, so I had to copyright it, is that the best that we will ever be is what we allow each other to become. And I am so grateful that Shaniqua, number one, you have allowed God to make you who he wanted you to be. So now we can be everything that we have to be. Thank you so much. Love you.
All righty. Love you.
Next
See you,
time.
ladies.
Real Talk. Good night.
You're in the right arena. There's so many things that come up against us as women that would have us to believe that we're not worthy, that we're not deserving. You have to know that is a lie from the pit of hell. And there's nothing you can do with a woman that finds out that she's worthy. You can't put her in a box. You can't put her in a corner. You can't tell her the sky is gray because she knows it's blue. If you say something to her, you're only confirming her worth and her value, because anything else, she doesn't receive it. You have to know your worth. You have to understand your value. You have to understand everything that you bring to a table if you're going to dream a bigger dream and experience that actual dream. We don't want to just be dreamers in this room. We want to be doers in this room. We want to act according to the vision that we have for our lives.